Hi Libra, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your May 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, source will be in front of us. It's a 12 card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Start with your sign, Libra, is the first house, all the way through to the 12th house represented by Virgo. And when we get through all that, we'll pull an oracle card for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot, we have the Brady tarot, and for the oracle deck, we'll be using the Wisdom oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off of our own those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, so we have fourth house energy for you guys is Capricorn. Astrologically speaking, pretty quiet there right now in the zodiac, but we'll definitely keep that in mind. In general, fourth house points to home roots, family. Alright, we have the South Node, and the South Node is still in Virgo, which is your 12th house, and in general, 12th house points to spirituality, blind spots, and mental health. And we have Sagittarius. So for you guys, Sagittarius is your third house, and in general, third house points to communication, short journeys, and siblings. As far as anything going on there astrologically, we actually will have a full moon in Sagittarius right at the very end of May, right on the 31st, I believe. So keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. All right. So in the first house, which points primarily to personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have the Devil. So for you guys, the Devil is, well, it's a Capricorn energy, but for you guys in your chart, that would be fourth house, like we talked about, which came up with the dice as well. So yeah, so this could just be saying that maybe there's some bad habits that you might have had from your early upbringing that might be coming back up to the surface for whatever reason. There could be a bit of an obsessive quality to whatever this is. But yeah, it could just be saying that maybe, on the one hand, it doesn't always have to be unhealthy across the board, but maybe there's some kind of a hyperfixation energy that you guys are finding yourselves in right now that you can't seem to shake. All right. And for the second house, which in general points to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Hierophant. So this is actually Taurus energy here. So on one hand, Taurus is the natural ruler of the second house anyway, but could just be saying when it comes to your finances, maybe you're going a bit more the traditional route this month. Maybe even just, making some decisions based on faith as well. And for others of you, this could just be saying that maybe you're trying to learn some new skills as well that could help you out with that area of life. But I do feel like there'd be something traditional about it in whatever scenario that falls into. So, like we saw, with the dice, we also had third house energy come up that way. But for your card representing the third house, we have departure. So, again, given that this points to communication, short journeys, siblings, this is really the equivalent of the Eight of Cups in traditional tarot. So to see this, could just be saying that for some of you might be leaving something behind when it comes to how you communicate, right? Maybe who you communicate with. That could be another way as well. So maybe people that you've been associated with for a while, you're potentially going to be cutting ties with them in some way, or at the very least expressing to people that, hey, maybe you need to step away, get some time away, clear your thoughts, right? But yeah, I feel like there could definitely be some discussions around shifting dynamics when it comes to who you communicate with this month and how you do so. For your fourth house energy, which we also saw with the dice, we have the Mother of Horns. So this is actually the equivalent of the the Queen of Cups, which is Cancerian energy. So to see this coming up here, especially looking at the artwork, I feel like this is saying that you might just feel a lot more at home when it comes to music this month. You might get some valuable messages or just energy in general through music, and also just withdrawing and being in nature. I feel like that's going to be what really brings you back to center this month. All right, so for the fifth house, which in general points to romance, creativity, and children, we have inspiration. This is the Ace of Feathers, which is the equivalent to the Ace of Wands in traditional tarot. So yeah, I mean, this is a perfect energy to see for fifth house matters, because to me this says you will have a spark of inspiration. Now, as far as what you have going on in your fifth house, we have Pluto in your fifth house. It'll start its retrograde cycle on the 6th of May. So it could be related to that. Maybe that could be sparking your creativity there. But whatever the case, it looks like you're going to have some ideas flowing to you this month. And that could actually be tied into what we see with the devil card, right? Like you might get this really good idea, then you become hyper fixated on how to execute it. Okay, so for the sixth house, which in general points to health, work, daily routines, and to an extent self-criticism, we have the Daughter of Arrows. So this is the equivalent of the Page of Swords, and to see this here could just be saying that you might feel like you're starting fresh when it comes to this area of life. So maybe you're switching up your daily routines in some way. Maybe you're starting a new health regimen, for example, but could also be related to what I was seeing with the Hierophant, right? Because I said for some of you, this could just mean maybe you're learning something new this month, and this could be another indicator of that as well, if this is within your work environment. So you just might feel like you're starting fresh in some ways. All right, so for your seventh house, we have the Father of Roots. So this is the equivalent of the King of Pentacles, which is another Taurus energy. And seeing this here in your seventh house could just be saying that if you don't already have a foundation, a strong foundation when it comes to your partnerships, you could be building that this month with someone. So let's say, if you haven't joined into a partnership just yet, right? There could be one that actually might come along this month that does have that potential to grow firm roots and be a long-standing connection. So that's definitely a positive thing to see there. That is one of the lesser talked about energies when it comes to Saturn transits, right? People tend to think of the heavy, burdensome type energy with Saturn. I'm mentioning that, by the way, because Saturn is currently in your seventh house. But, it could also lead to things that stand the test of time, too. So that could be pointing more to that side of the Saturnian energy in that regard. But yeah, to be fair, if this is something you've already been in, right, then it could just be saying that maybe there's some strain and struggle with that. But for your eighth house energy, we have growth. So this is essentially the equivalent of the Seven of Pentacles. And seeing this here, if we think about the traditional artwork for the Seven of Pentacles too, we see someone, they're seeing some growth, but it seems like it's slowing down, right? They seem a little bit dejected, or at the very least just tired, right? So for some of you, this could just be saying that, yeah, if you maybe had your doubts around some things around this area of life, so whether it be investments, maybe money due to you, things along those lines there, I feel like this is saying this month you will see signs of that growth, right? It's going to be slow growth more than likely, but at least I feel like as long as you see indicators that the growth is still there, that might make you feel a little bit more calm around the situation. For your ninth house energy, we have the Father of Horns. This is the equivalent of the King of Cups. And seeing this here in your ninth house, well, now I'm thinking of what's going to be happening in your ninth house. And the main thing, of course, that comes to mind is, well, there's going to be plenty going on as we get later into the month. But the time I'm recording this, we're about to have Uranus move back into Gemini, and Gemini is your ninth house. So that could be part of what's going on here. But at the very least, what stands out, similar to with the King of Cups energy in traditional tarot too, is we see they have a bit of an isolated energy, right, where they're standing on their own. So it could just be saying that, yeah, with that Uranus energy, right, maybe some of your beliefs are going to be a bit more off the beaten path, right, or you might find that those around you might not immediately agree with those viewpoints, right, or you just might be having a little bit of difficulty finding your tribe as far as that goes. But if that's the case, I feel like this is saying, you're going to still feel firm enough to stick with those beliefs and just wait it out if that's the case. All right, so for the 10th house, which in general points to career and social status, we have the Hermit. So this is a Virgo energy traditionally, but to see this here does make me think of the fact that you guys do still have Jupiter in your 10th house of career and social status. So could just be saying that through that, right? Because if we think about Jupiter is the natural ruler of Sagittarius, which points back to ninth house energies and higher learning, right? Philosophy. So it could just be saying that, yeah, as Cancer has had Jupiter in it for this transit, it could just be saying that that could have led to some growth for you guys around your careers, right? Maybe some things that you didn't even expect to learn throughout this transit might have been taking place. But whatever the case, I feel like this is saying you're going to be feeling a little bit more firm and confident around those things too. All right, so for your 11th house, which in general points to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Son of Feathers. So this is the equivalent of the Knight of Wands. So yeah, so this could be going back to what I was saying, right? Maybe you're finding between what we talked about with the third house energy, rather, with the departure, right? Like I said, maybe you're going to be moving away from some people that you've been communicating with. That Four of Horns energy in the fourth house, and then seeing the Father of Horns energy in the ninth. Maybe you're finding some of your beliefs are shifting as time goes on, right? And through doing so, maybe that's causing you to explore new cultures, interact with new people, right? So that could be what this energy is pointing to as well, because the Knight of Wands energy, or Son of Feathers as it is in this deck, is definitely an energy of exploration. And speaking of exploration in your 12th house, we have the Fool. So the Fool is definitely an energy of exploration to an extent. But to see it in the 12th house, which generally points to spirituality, blind spots, mental health, could be one of those things where you might be feeling this pull to put yourselves out there in that way. But, for some of you might not feel ready quite yet, right? At the very least, it's going to be at the forefront of your mind between seeing the Fool in the 12th house and Devil in the first, right? Um, there's going to be that strong pull there, but whether you or not you act on it, especially given that we've seen ace energy in the fifth house too, could be more of a 50-50 thing. But I do have a feeling that as we start to have more energy move into Gemini, that might spark you a little bit more toward actually taking the action as well versus just thinking it through. All right, and bottom of the deck we have discipline. So this is really the equivalent of the Eight of Pentacles in traditional tarot, which is a Virgo energy. And interestingly enough, given that that is your 12th house, that makes me think that, going back to, I feel like you've been deliberate with your movements in the past, right? To where you're seeing, well, like it said, right, growth in the 8th house, the Hierophant in the 2nd house, Hermit in the 10th. So I feel like this is saying that, I feel like you've gotten yourself to a point now to where you can afford to think about exploring a little bit more, right? Because you've been disciplined, because you've um, stuck on the path, possibly through faith, right? Where maybe it seemed like it wasn't the ideal way to go. And now it's like you have these resources available to you that will let you explore things if you do want to step outside your comfort zone a bit this month and beyond. But we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So mentioned we were going to pull a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle. So what I'm going to do is give this a few more shuffles, and then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right, we'll take this card. We'll get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. All right, we have time to go. So for those of you who are considering exploring, like we said, right, definitely aligns with the departure energy we see here, among some of the other things we talked about as well. But this could be aligning with that. So we'll see what it actually says in the book. There's the artwork. The number is 45. All right, essential meanings says endings, completion, walking away from something because there is nothing else to learn or experience. The Oracle's message: you are at the end of one journey and have not yet begun the next. This is the moment to bless your experience thus far. Take stock of what you've learned. It's time to move on to new experiences and a new way of being. There is nothing left for you to do, be, or experience in your present circumstances. Take the risk and move on, even if you need to be in transition for a time. Your destiny is calling you. So yeah, like I said, it definitely seems to support an energy, like I said, where it seems like some of you might be exploring new beliefs, wanting to get out and explore new places, new people, right? Seems to support that message there. And the relationship message says it's over, or at the very least, the form this relationship has taken is no longer of service to you or the other person. This is a time of letting go, of knowing that the journey has come to its conclusion. That doesn't mean anything is lost. Although this card could speak to a breakup, drifting apart, or the end of a soul contract, it is more about release than destruction. Remember the saying, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours. If not, it never was. Endings are always a sign of new beginnings. If you want something deeper, walk away. So that's an interesting message there, right? If you want something deeper, walk away. Because for some of you, this could just be saying that if this isn't the type of connection that you do have currently, it is what you ultimately yearn for, right? Where we talk about deeper, father of roots, very deep roots there, right? So that could be the connecting piece there. But hopefully that resonated. And the prosperity message says this message is clear. The path you've been on with your work, creative projects, and business alliances have come to an end. You will not find the success you desire by continuing with what is now in front of you. This is an auspicious sign because there is no choice that will benefit you other than risking stepping into the unknown. It is time to walk towards something new. This card also pertains to the more neutral concept of completion. You've finished your task and can rest assured that this ending will open up a powerful new avenue of opportunity, even better than any you can imagine. You have done all you can. Now trust that spirit keeps the plan moving forward. Fortune requires you to conclude this chapter of your life. And remember that when you close one door, another opens. So yeah, so reading that message there does bring me back to what I was saying, that for some of you, maybe you're learning something new, right? Where you feel like you're starting fresh in some way. And given that that is a work-related energy, that could be the case. Hermit could also point to learning as well. But more so seeing this in the 10th house, I feel like this is saying that, if maybe it's more of a matter of you not having confidence, I feel like this is saying that you already have a pretty strong foundation or skill set that can help you in any new ventures around a career as far as that goes. So yeah, hopefully that resonated for you guys. We'll wrap up there. All right, bye.